Have you ever noticed someone who just can't stay away from the spotlight? No matter where they are, at work, at a party, even in a quiet conversation, somehow they find a way to make everything circle back to them. It's like they breathe in the silence and exhale stories that pull every eye in the room. But the real question is, why? What drives that constant hunger for attention? Let's take a deep breath and step into their world for a moment. Because behind that loud laugh, behind that constant need to be noticed, there's a mind working in ways most people don't see. Attention to the human brain is like oxygen. It tells us we exist. From the moment we're born, every cry we make is a call for it. A baby cries and someone comes. That simple act plants a deep belief inside us. Attention equals safety. Attention equals love. For some people, that early lesson grows too strong. Somewhere along the way, they start to believe that if no one's looking, they disappear. These are the people who live with what psychologists call an attention-seeking pattern. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. A man might subtly exaggerate his success. A woman might hint at personal struggles just to keep the concern flowing. Others become the life of every room, charming, energetic, irresistible, yet strangely fragile when the applause fades. Deep inside, attention seekers often carry a small but heavy wound. The fear of being invisible. When love in their past was inconsistent or praise was rare, they learned to perform for it. Every compliment became proof they mattered. Every laugh was fuel. And once the brain connects attention with worth, it becomes addictive. The same dopamine that lights up when we win, eat, or fall in love. It sparks when someone notices us. That rush is powerful. And like all powerful things, it can take control. But let's be clear, not everyone who likes attention is broken. We all crave recognition. We all want to be seen, respected, appreciated. It's part of being human. The difference lies in what happens when the attention stops. Some people can stay calm in the quiet. Others panic. They feel empty, forgotten, almost erased. That emptiness pushes them to chase more attention, and the cycle begins again. You can spot it in little things. The person who interrupts just to share their story. The one who posts endlessly, waiting for likes to fill a hole inside. The friend who turns every problem into a spotlight moment. On the surface, it looks like confidence. But if you listen closely, you can hear the whisper underneath. Please don't forget me. Psychologists often connect this behavior with certain personality traits. Narcissistic traits, for example, thrive on admiration. These individuals build their identity around how others see them. When admiration fades, they crumble inside, even if they never show it. On the other hand, people with histrionic tendencies seek attention through drama, exaggerated emotion, bold gestures, constant excitement. They feel alive only when the world reacts to them. Both patterns grow from the same seed, a deep need to be seen, because being unseen feels like death. What's interesting is how the modern world feeds this hunger. Social media has turned attention into a kind of currency. The more likes, the more followers, the more real people feel. But that illusion is dangerous. It teaches the mind that visibility equals value. The brain doesn't know the difference between a friend's genuine smile and a heart emoji from a stranger. It just feels the hit of dopamine and wants more. So people keep performing, not for connection, but for validation. And here's the twist. The more they chase attention, the less authentic they become. They start shaping their words, their looks, even their emotions to fit what others will applaud. Slowly, their true self fades behind the mask of performance. The tragedy is, the more attention they get, the lonelier they feel. Because deep down, they know it's not really them being loved, it's the act. So what happens when the spotlight turns off? That's when the truth shows. Many attention seekers experience a sudden drop in mood. It's like a withdrawal. The brain, used to constant stimulation, now feels abandoned. This can lead to anxiety, depression, even reckless behaviour. Anything to get the eyes back on them. Some pick fights, others exaggerate pain or success, just to be noticed again. It's not evil, it's survival. Their mind equates attention with safety, and silence feels like danger. But what's most fascinating is how self-awareness can break this cycle. When a person finally sees their own need for attention not as shame, but as a signal, that's when healing starts. Because beneath every craving for attention is a deeper craving for connection. The attention seeker doesn't really want the spotlight. They want to be understood. They want someone to look past their noise and see their heart. And maybe that's something we can all learn from. Because if you look closely, you might see a little bit of this pattern in yourself too. Every time you check your phone hoping for a message, every time you adjust your tone to sound more impressive, that's the same human need whispering inside all of us. See me, hear me, remember me. The truth is, attention is not the enemy. The real danger lies in confusing attention with love. Love doesn't need an audience. It doesn't fade when the room goes quiet. It stays, even when no one's watching. And the moment a person learns to give that kind of love to themselves, the need for attention begins to loosen its grip. When you really look at people who always need attention, you start to realize their world is built on reactions. They measure their worth by how people respond. A compliment feels like a breath of life. Silence feels like rejection. Every moment becomes a quiet performance, and every face in the crowd becomes a mirror that decides who they are. This constant need can twist how they see themselves. Instead of asking, "What do I think of me?" they ask, "What do others think of me?" Their self-image becomes a reflection of others' opinions. When people praise them, they stand tall. When they're ignored, they shrink. Imagine living like that, always depending on someone else to tell you that you're enough. It's exhausting. And deep inside, it creates a quiet panic, a fear that maybe if no one is watching, they don't matter at all. This is what psychologists call external validation dependency. It's the emotional version of living on borrowed energy. You can shine brightly, but only as long as someone else keeps fueling the light. And when that energy runs out, the darkness feels unbearable. Relationships with such people often feel one-sided. They may seem charming and warm at first, but soon, everything circles back to them. Their problems, their stories, their victories. They crave admiration, not intimacy. You might find yourself giving more and receiving less. Because for them, love is not about connection, it's about attention. They equate being loved with being noticed. But here's something deeper. Most of them don't do this on purpose. They're not trying to manipulate, they're trying to survive. Somewhere along the road, maybe as children, they learned that the only way to get care was to perform for it. Maybe their parents only showed affection when they achieved something, or only listened when they made noise. So the message was clear: be loud to be loved. That belief grew roots and followed them into adulthood. And because it's unconscious, they often don't even realize they're doing it. They might say things like, "I just love being around people," or "I hate feeling ignored." but underneath there's a quiet voice saying, "If no one sees me, I disappear." The danger of living this way is that no amount of attention ever feels enough. You can have 1,000,000 followers, endless praise, constant applause, and still feel empty, because the void isn't outside, it's inside. It's the absence of self-acceptance. It's the wound of not feeling complete without an audience. Some attention seekers even sabotage peace just to stay relevant. They start conflicts, exaggerate stories, or create drama, not because they love chaos, but because chaos guarantees a reaction. And in their mind, reaction means recognition. The brain learns that even negative attention is better than none. This is why some people stir arguments online or act out in public. The attention doesn't have to be kind, it just has to exist. But here's a truth that's hard to swallow. When your worth depends on attention, your peace will always depend on others, and that means you'll never truly be free. So how does someone break free from this cycle? It starts with awareness. Realizing there's the need for attention isn't evil, it's a symptom. It's your mind's way of saying, "I'm missing something." That missing piece is self-validation, the quiet belief that you are enough, even when no one's watching. Building that takes time. It begins with stillness, sitting in silence without rushing to fill it, doing things for yourself, not for applause. Maybe you work out without posting it. Maybe you help someone without telling anyone. Maybe you speak less and listen more. These small acts begin to rewire the brain. They teach it that worth doesn't come from reaction, it comes from presence. Another powerful shift comes from facing the discomfort of being unseen. Most attention seekers fear being forgotten, but when they let themselves be unseen, when they stay quiet and still, something beautiful happens. The anxiety rises at first, then it fades, and what's left is clarity. You start to realize that the world doesn't stop when no one is looking at you. You still exist. You still matter. That's real power. Therapists often help people like this reconnect with their authentic self, the part buried beneath years of performance. They explore childhood memories, hidden fears, the old beliefs that say, "I must be noticed to be loved." And when those beliefs are challenged, healing begins. Because once a person starts loving themselves, they no longer need constant proof from others. The irony is, the more someone learns to love themselves quietly, the more naturally attention comes to them. Real confidence doesn't chase, it attracts. People are drawn to calm energy, to someone who's not trying to impress, not trying to steal the moment. They feel safe around that. They feel respect. That's the kind of attention that lasts. The kind that's earned, not demanded. In a world obsessed with being seen, learning to be unseen becomes a superpower. The ones who don't need the spotlight are the ones who shine the brightest when they step into it. Because they're not performing, they're being real. So the next time you meet someone who always needs attention, look beyond their words. See the fear beneath the laughter. See the child who once felt invisible. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it explains it. Compassion doesn't mean you let them drain you. It means you understand the pain behind the act. And if you recognize some of these patterns in yourself, don't judge it. Awareness is the first step to change. The moment you stop chasing attention, you start discovering something far greater. Authenticity. You begin to do things because they feel right, not because they'll be noticed. You stop performing and start living. Remember, attention is temporary, but respect, peace, and self-love, those are permanent. The more you feed them, the less you'll crave the noise of approval. So maybe the real goal isn't to be noticed by everyone. Maybe it's to be known by yourself, to wake up one day and feel at peace even if the world stays silent. Because when you know your worth, you no longer need the world to confirm it. In the end, the people who always need attention aren't bad. They're just searching for the love they never learned to give themselves. But once they find it, once they realize that being seen starts with seeing themselves clearly, they no longer chase the light. They become it. And that's the quiet truth about the psychology of attention seekers. Beneath the noise, beneath the constant need to be noticed, there's a heart that just wants to feel seen. When that heart finally learns to see itself, the search ends and peace begins.